All right, let's dive in. We're talking about a massive chunk of history today, 300 years of empire. And it's a wild story, really. It starts with a dynasty founded by slaves, features a ruler who literally called himself the Second Alexander, and it all comes crashing down in this incredible clash of old and new worlds. Today, we're breaking down the epic, sprawling story of the Delhi Sultanate.
And that's the real puzzle here, isn't it? I mean, how do you go from just raiding for treasure to building a stable 300-year-long empire? An empire that completely reshapes a subcontinent? Well, that's the journey we're on today.
Okay, so to get our heads around this, we need a quick roadmap. The Sultanate wasn't just one long, continuous thing. It was actually 5 different dynasties, one after the other. We've got the Slave Dynasty, then the Khilji, the Tughlaq, the Sayyid, and finally the Lodi. We're going to hit each one and see how the story unfolds.
All right, first up, from raiders to rulers. See, before the Sultanate was even a thing, you had these 2 powerful invaders show up in India, and they came for completely different reasons. Understanding that difference? Well, it's the key to this whole story.
So, you've got these 2 guys, and they could not be more different. On one hand, you have Mahmud of Ghazni. Think of him as the ultimate smash-and-grab artist. He led 17 brutal raids, all about grabbing as much treasure as he could carry. He had zero interest in ruling. But then you have Muhammad Ghori. He had a totally different vision. He wasn't just looking for gold. He saw land. He saw power. He saw an empire. He came to stay.
Everything changes in 1192 at the Second Battle of Turin. Ghori wins this massive victory, but then he has to head back to Central Asia. So what does he do? He leaves his new territories in India under the command of his most trusted general, a guy named Qutbuddin Aibak. And this is the part that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. Aibak wasn't a prince, he wasn't a noble, he was a former slave.
So, when Ghori dies, this is where the story takes an incredible turn. Aibak doesn't just manage the territory, he declares independence. He founds what we now call the Slave Dynasty. Just think about that for a second. An entire empire, founded and ruled by men who were once considered property. It's unbelievable.
Okay, let's meet the key players of this first dynasty. You've got Aibak, the founder, then Iltutmish, the guy who really built it up. After him, Razia, a total trailblazer. And finally, Balban, the iron fist who kept it all together. Each one is a story in themselves.
So while Aibak kicked things off, a lot of people will tell you his son-in-law, Iltutmish, was the real architect of the Sultanate. Why? Well, he's the one who moves the capital to Delhi, cementing its place as the center of power for centuries. And maybe even more important, he gets the economy in order by introducing the first standard coins. He built the institutions.
And then Iltutmish does something absolutely radical. He looks at his sons, and then he looks at his daughter, Razia, and he chooses her as his successor. She was brilliant, she was capable, but the powerful nobles, they just couldn't handle taking orders from a woman. Her reign was tragically cut short, but her story, being the first and only female sultan of Delhi, you don't forget that.
So after the slave dynasty, we get the Khiljis. And this next chapter is all about expansion, ambition, and power. It's when the Sultanate reaches its absolute peak, and it's all driven by the ruthless, brilliant vision of one single man.
And that man was Alauddin Khilji. This guy was something else. He murdered his own uncle to grab the throne, which tells you everything you need to know about his ambition. He literally called himself Sikandar-e-Sani, the second Alexander. And the crazy part is, with his military and administrative genius, he almost earned it.
So how did he pull this off? It was all about control. Absolute control. First, he builds this huge, permanent army that's loyal only to him. How? He pays them in cold, hard cash. No land grants that could create rival nobles. Genius. Then, he cracks down on corruption in the army. And to pay for all this, he gets radical with the economy. He fixes the prices of everything essential and slaps a massive 50% tax on farmland. It was brutal, but it was effective. And believe me, his system worked. His top general, Malik Kafur, marched deep into South India, just shattering one kingdom after another and hauling back unbelievable amounts of wealth. Just to give you a little taste of the kind of riches we're talking about, it was on one of these campaigns that the Sultanate got its hands on a little diamond you might have heard of. It's called the Kohinoor.
But you know how it goes. What goes up must come down. after the peak of the Khiljis, we get the Tughlaqs. And this dynasty, honestly, is one of the most fascinating in all of Indian history. It's an era led by a certified genius whose brilliant ideas had a tiny little habit of ending in complete and utter disaster. So, let's meet the man himself, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. By all accounts, this guy's brain was on another level. He was a brilliant scholar, knew his philosophy, his math, his medicine, a true man of vision. The problem was, his ideas were often light years ahead of his time, and when it came to actually putting them into practice, well, let's just say the execution left a little to be desired. Take his first big idea, moving the capital. On paper, it made sense. A more central capital would make it easier to control his huge empire. But the reality? A total nightmare. He didn't just move the government, he forced the entire population of Delhi to march 1,500 kilometers south. Thousands died. And the punchline? A few years later, he just changed his mind and marched everyone back. Unbelievable. Okay, experiment number 2, token currency. Again, a brilliant idea, way ahead of its time. There was a silver shortage, so he said, let's issue brass and copper coins, but have them be worth the same as silver ones. Great idea, right? Except, he forgot one tiny detail. He didn't make the coins hard to copy. So literally every household became its own illegal mint. Counterfeiting exploded, the economy collapsed, and the Sultan had to buy back all the fake coins at a catastrophic loss. So all this chaos under Muhammad bin Tughlaq completely shattered the empire. Provinces started declaring independence, the treasury was bone dry, the 2 dynasties that followed, the Sayyids and the Lodis, they basically inherited a ghost of an empire. They spent all their time just trying to cling to Delhi while everything else fell apart around them. The glory days were definitely over. But the final blow didn't come from the inside. It came from the outside. A new wave of invaders was on the horizon, coming from Central Asia, and the last Lodi Sultan was about to come face to face with a new kind of enemy, one who brought a new kind of technology that was about to change warfare in India for good. And here we are, the final showdown, the first battle of Panipat. On one side, you have Sultan Ibrahim Lodi. He's got a huge traditional army, think elephants, cavalry, tons of soldiers. On the other side, a guy named Babur. His army is way smaller, but he has a secret weapon, a game changer. He has cannons. The year is 1526, and at Panipat, you have the old world of the Sultanate crashing head-on into the new world of gunpowder. 300 years of an empire's history, all coming down to this one single day. And it wasn't even close. Babur's cannons just ripped through the Lodi army. It was a total, decisive victory for the invaders. And in a sort of brutal but fitting end to the whole story, Ibrahim Lodi became the first and only Sultan of Delhi to actually be killed on the battlefield. And just like that, the Delhi Sultanate was finished. So what did it all leave behind? A huge legacy, actually. The Sultanate completely changed the subcontinent. It brought this new Turco-Persian culture that became woven into the fabric of North India. Those clever administrative systems that Alauddin Khilji set up, the Mughals basically used them as their playbook. And you can still see the Sultanate's influence today, everywhere. In the architecture, the music, the food, it was this incredible fusion of cultures. Which kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. You know, the Delhi Sultanate officially ended in 1526. But did it really? Its systems, its culture, its influence, it all carried on through the Mughal Empire that followed. So it makes you wonder, right? When an empire falls, is it really gone? Or does it just become the foundation for whatever comes next?